If you like storytime vibes, hit subscribe and let's dive in together.
I still remember the exact moment my relationship shattered. It wasn't during a fight. It wasn't even in private. It was in the middle of a crowded, overpriced restaurant, with laughter and champagne bubbles filling the air. When the woman I thought I loved looked me dead in the eye and said, "Real men don't argue. Just pay and shut up." The words landed like a slap, but strangely I didn't flinch. For months, maybe years, I'd been collecting silent bruises. Her tone, her demands, the way she measured my worth not in love or loyalty, but in dollars and gifts. And now, with that one sentence, she'd taken the mask off. She had said the quiet part out loud. To explain how we ended up here, I need to take you back. Isabella and I met at a friend's rooftop party 2 years ago. She was radiant, long dark hair, eyes that caught the light like glass, and a laugh that made people turn their heads. I was 30 then, already comfortable in my career as a data analyst. She was 26, working vaguely in content creation, which, as I would later discover, was code for chasing influencer dreams without a steady paycheck. Back then, none of that mattered. I was intoxicated by her energy. She could make an ordinary Tuesday night feel like New Year's Eve. She wanted rooftop bars, weekend trips, designer shoes, and I wanted her. So I said yes, again and again. At first I told myself I was being generous, a good boyfriend, the kind of man who takes care of the woman he loves. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, generosity hardened into obligation. Her requests became expectations. Expectations became demands. The pattern was clear. I could see it in my spreadsheets at work, in the numbers I lived by every day. Rent, mine. Vacations, mine. Groceries, mine. Nights out, always mine. Her contribution was herself, her presence, her beauty, her ability to dazzle. I told myself it was worth it, that maybe this was just the balance of our relationship. But deep down, I knew. I wasn't her partner. I was her wallet. That night at Aurelia was the boiling point. The restaurant itself was the kind of place where even the air felt expensive. Dim lighting, gold accents, waiters in black vests moving like shadows. Just stepping inside felt like signing away a paycheck. Isabella was in her element. She wore a red silk dress that clung like liquid fire. Her friends Sasha and Talia flanked her like bodyguards, phones in hand, ready to capture every angle for social media. "Let's start with the Aurelia Grand Platter," Isabella declared, not even glancing at the menu. She waved her hand like a queen dismissing a servant. "And champagne. Veuve, the good one." The waiter nodded, scribbling notes as though he'd seen this act before. The platter cost more than my weekly grocery budget. The champagne, $300 for bubbles that tasted like guilt. And then came the Wagyu steaks, the truffle butter, the cocktails with names, like Golden Reverie and Midnight Crown. Another bottle of wine, of course. I sat there, smiling faintly, the knot in my stomach tightening with each order. The three of them were in heaven, laughing, posing, snapping photos with the restaurant's golden glow behind them. Their voices rose above the hum of the dining room. And me? I might as well have been invisible. The only time they acknowledged me was when the waiter poured drinks, and Isabella made sure my glass was full, so I couldn't excuse myself from paying. Eventually, Isabella turned the conversation toward our recent disagreement. "Ladies," she said dramatically, "can you believe Liam actually argued with me about a weekend trip? I wanted a proper getaway, Newport, ocean view, spa, and he," she rolled her eyes, "suggested something reasonable." Sasha gasped like a soap opera actress. "He argued about money." Talia shook her head. "Girl, you shouldn't even have to think about money. That's what he's for." And then Isabella looked at me. Her lips curved into a smirk that still makes my stomach twist when I think about it. You have to learn, Liam. Real men don't argue about money. They just pay and shut up. Her friends exploded in laughter. That was it. The numbers in my head aligned like puzzle pieces. 2 years of receipts, credit card charges, vacations I could barely afford, all pointing to the same truth. She didn't love me. She loved what I could provide. And suddenly, the knot in my stomach wasn't anxiety anymore. It was clarity. Cold, hard clarity. I looked at her beautiful, smug face, and I felt nothing. The waiter placed the bill discreetly on the table. $200, printed in neat black ink. Isabella barely glanced at it before looking at me, her expression cool, commanding. Her meaning was clear. Do your job, Liam. I smiled, calm, almost relieved. Thanks for the advice, I said softly. Her lips curved upward, mistaking my composure for submission. But then I raised my hand. Excuse me, I told the waiter. I'll be paying for my portion separately. The laughter around the table collapsed into stunned silence. Liam, what are you doing? Isabella hissed. I didn't even look at her. Calmly, like a man balancing an expense report, I recited, 1 Wagyu ribeye, 85s, 1 beer, $12, subtotal 97s, with 9% tax, $105.73. I'll add a $25 tip. Final charge, $130.73. The waiter nodded, professional and unflinching. Her face, once smug, darkened into fury. Stop this right now, she demanded. But it was too late. My card slid across the table. The receipt came back. I signed. And I stood. No raised voice, no dramatic scene. Just cold, surgical finality. I tucked my phone in my pocket, pushed in my chair, and walked towards the door. Behind me I heard Isabella's furious whisper. Where is he going? Get him back here. But I kept walking, out into the cool night air. For the first time, in years, I felt light, free. My phone buzzed in my pocket before I even reached the corner. Her name lit up the screen, message after message. Get back here now. This isn't funny. Pay the bill, Liam. You embarrassed me. I ignored them all. I hailed a cab, slid inside. And as the city lights streaked past the window, I realized this was only the beginning. When I opened the door to my apartment that night, the silence felt like sanctuary. But the peace didn't last. The phone buzzed again, this time with angry calls from Sasha and Talia. You owe us! Do you know how humiliating that was? We had to use Talia's dad's credit card. I muted everything, sat on the couch, and waited. An hour later, the door slammed open. Isabella stormed inside, her heels striking the hardwood like gunfire. What the hell was that? She demanded, throwing her purse onto the floor. I stayed seated, calm. That was me, I said, taking your advice. She blinked, stunned. My advice? What are you talking about? You abandoned me. No, I replied evenly. You said real men don't argue. They pay and shut up. I didn't argue. I paid for my meal, and then I shut up and left. For the first time, she had no script, no witty comeback, just rage twisting across her face. That's not what I meant, and you know it. You were supposed to pay for everyone. That's your job. My job? I repeated slowly. The deal? I didn't realize our relationship was a business contract. Thanks for clarifying. In that case, consider my contract terminated. You're really going to throw away 2 years over one stupid dinner? She shouted. It was never about the dinner, I said. It was about the line you crossed, pay and shut up. That one sentence told me exactly how you see me. Not as a man, not as a partner, just as a wallet. Her anger faltered, panic creeping in. She glanced around the apartment, our apartment, though only my name was on the lease. Her eyes lingered on the furniture, the TV, the kitchen appliances. Things she had grown used to but never paid for. You're just emotional, she said quickly, her voice trembling now. You'll regret this. Now, send me the money for the dinner and we'll forget about tonight. No, I said simply. She glared at me, her voice rising again. Fine. Be a cheap, pathetic child. I'm going to bed. We'll talk in the morning when you've come to your senses. She spun towards the bedroom. No, I said sharply, my voice cutting through the air. She froze. You're not sleeping here. You can pack a bag with what you need for a few days, and then you're leaving. Her jaw dropped. Leave! I live here! No, I said coldly. I live here. My name is on the lease. Our relationship is over, which means your stay here is over. You can come back this weekend for the rest of your things. But tonight, you're leaving. Her eyes filled with panic. This wasn't just about a fight. This was about losing her home base, losing the lifestyle she had built on my back. You can't do this, she whispered, tears welling. Where am I supposed to go? I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. You could stay with Sasha or Talia, I said. I'm sure they'd love to host the person who just cost their family over $1,000. Her face twisted with rage and desperation. You'll regret this, Liam. She spat. I leaned back, calm, unshaken. I already regret the last 2 years. I said, tonight is the first step in fixing that. With a choked sob, she stormed into the bedroom. Drawers yanked open, clothes shoved into a bag. She slammed the closet door, muttering curses under her breath. I stayed on the couch, listening to the storm in the next room. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid of it. She came out 20 minutes later, dragging a suitcase, mascara streaked down her face. She shoved past me, out the door, slamming it so hard the frame rattled. Silence returned. But it wasn't peaceful silence. It was the silence before the next battle. Because I knew Isabella, and I knew she wasn't done. The next morning, my phone exploded with messages. Pay me back for dinner. You humiliated me in front of my friends. You embarrassed me so badly that Talia's dad had to cover the bill. You owe me $1,092. Send it now. Her anger had morphed into entitlement. In her mind, I had committed a crime, not against love, but against her lifestyle. I muted the thread. Silence was my shield. Saturday came. She returned with Sasha and Talia, her so-called moving crew. Their goal was simple: strip the apartment bare. Her plan, though, underestimated me. I greeted them at the door. Calm, ready. They began with clothes and shoes. Fine. But then Sasha's voice echoed from the bathroom. Don't forget the good towels. The towels stay, I said firmly. I bought them. Sasha poked her head out, indignant. But Isabella uses them. They're basically hers. Usage doesn't imply ownership. I replied coolly. The towels stay. And so it went. A lamp. Mine. An espresso machine. Mine. Each time I had the receipt, the proof. Every attempt they made was blocked by calm logic. Their frustration built, but mine never wavered. Then came the real prize, the camera kit, a nearly $3,000 Sony Alpha, the crown jewel of Isabella's influencer dreams. Talia held up the box like a trophy. We're taking the camera, she declared. No, I said, stepping in her path. What do you mean, no? Isabella finally snapped. You bought that for my birthday. It's a gift. It's mine. It was a gift, I agreed, given in the context of a relationship. That relationship is over. It was an investment in a shared future that no longer exists. The camera stays. Her jaw dropped. You can't take back a gift. That's illegal. I'll call the police. Go ahead, I said calmly. I have the receipt, with the serial number. It's my property, and it's not leaving this apartment. For once, her friends had nothing to say. The silence between us was thick with defeat. Finally, Isabella muttered through clenched teeth, "You are the most vindictive, petty man I've ever met." "And you," I said evenly, "are the most entitled, transactional person I've ever met. Now pack the rest of your clothes and get out." They left in bitter silence. I thought I had won, but when I returned to my office that night, my stomach sank. My external hard drive, the one holding years of my photography, was gone. It was priceless to me, worthless to her, which meant only one thing: she had stolen it out of spite. An hour later, a text from a burner number confirmed it. "Looking for something? Give it back." I replied immediately. Her answer: "Trade me for the camera you stole." It was a hostage negotiation. My memories, my art, in exchange for the camera. For a moment I considered it. The thought of losing those photos was unbearable. But then I remembered her words, the sneer on her face at Aurelia. Pay and shut up. If I gave in now, I'd be proving her right. So I didn't. Instead, I prepared. I gathered everything: the receipt, the credit card statement, screenshots of her texts admitting theft and extortion. Then I drafted a formal email, calm, concise, official. "Isabella, you are in possession of my Seagate external hard drive, which you admitted to taking. I am in possession of the Sony Alpha A7 III, which I own outright, backed by receipts. Your demand for a trade is an admission of theft and extortion. You have 48 hours to return my drive, intact, at a neutral public location. I suggest the lobby of a police station. If not, I will file a police report for felony theft." I hit send. 36 hours later, one word arrived in my inbox. "Fine." We met in the lobby of a bank. She came with Talia, looking haggard, defeated. Without a word, she placed the hard drive on the counter. I plugged it into my laptop, heart pounding. The files opened, all intact. "Thank you," I said quietly. She spat. "Are we done?" "Yes," I said. "We are." She turned and walked away. No more threats, no more demands. The fallout was swift. Talia's father, furious over the dinner bill, cut ties. Sasha distanced herself too. Without her hype crew, without my money, Isabella's influencer dreams crumbled. Her social media, once a highlight reel of champagne and designer bags, went silent. Word spread she had moved back in with relatives, working retail just to get by. The girl who once told me to pay and shut up was now living the one life she despised most. Ordinary. And me? I sit at my desk sometimes, scrolling through the photos on that hard drive. They mean more now. They aren't just images. They're proof. Proof that I survived. Proof that I reclaimed myself. In the end, my revenge wasn't about destroying Isabella. It was about refusing to let her destroy me. I didn't argue. I didn't shout. I paid what I owed, my share, my dignity. And then I walked away. That was enough. When I think back on everything, I don't see a dinner bill or a broken relationship. I see a moment in time that forced me to choose between losing myself or finally standing up for who I am. For 2 years, I kept convincing myself that love meant sacrifice, that being a good partner meant saying yes, even when my gut screamed no. I thought I was building a future with someone who loved me, but the truth is, I was funding a fantasy. And the more I gave, the less of myself I had left. Her words that night: "Real men don't argue, just pay and shut up." They weren't just cruel, they were clarifying. They cut through all the noise, all the excuses I had made for her, and showed me exactly how she saw me. Not as Liam, the man, the partner, the person with dreams and fears and worth of his own. No, just as an ATM with a pulse, and once I saw that truth, I couldn't unsee it. Walking away wasn't easy. In fact, it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Because walking away doesn't just mean leaving the other person behind, it means facing the parts of yourself that allowed it to go on for so long. I had to admit that I ignored red flags. I had to admit that I chose comfort over confrontation, that I let myself be used because it was easier than drawing boundaries. That was my mistake, and I've learned from it. What did I gain by leaving? More than freedom. I gained self-respect. I gained clarity. I gained the reminder that a relationship built on imbalance will eventually collapse under its own weight. Love is supposed to be partnership. Give and take, not take and take. And if you ever find yourself in a situation where the scale never tips in your favor, you owe it to yourself to step back and ask, is this really love, or just exploitation dressed up as romance? People ask me sometimes if I feel bitter, if I regret the time I spent with her. My answer is no. I don't regret it because it taught me something essential. That boundaries are not walls to keep love out, they're foundations to keep love real. Without them, respect dies. And without respect, love cannot survive. In the end, Isabella lost the life she thought she deserved. But I didn't need to destroy her. Life did that on its own once I stopped playing her game. My victory was quieter but far more meaningful. I walked away with my dignity intact, my creativity restored, and my future mine again. So if there's one lesson I can share, it's this. Never let anyone convince you that love is measured by how much you can pay or how silent you can stay. Real strength isn't found in how much you endure. It's found in knowing your worth, speaking your truth, and having the courage to walk away when someone refuses to see you as anything more than what you can give. And that's the kind of man I choose to be. Not silent, not used, but free.